Hi everyone. Welcome back to Big East Breakdown, where we talk about each team in the Big East individually. I'm your host, Richard Prosser, along with Jordan Rosenthal, and this week we're talking about the Georgetown Hoyas.
The Georgetown Hoyas, there's not many great things to say about them. Last year they finished 6-25 overall. They went winless, 0-19 in Big East play, which is almost impressive. Obviously they finished last in the Big East.
And looking at their roster changes, they have a lot of movement on their team. First guy you got to talk about is Aminu Muhammad, the lone five-star recruit that Patrick Ewing was able to land at Georgetown. Last year he had a nice player, but he didn't really live up to the hype. He's a good defensive player. He was really highly touted coming out of high school. He did leave this year to try to go to the NBA, got picked up by the 76ers in June. We wish him the best of luck moving forward there. Another player that they lost is Caden Rice. He's a grad transfer. Played about 25 minutes per game last year, averaged about 11 points. He was mainly like a shooter and a scorer type of option for them. Only shot 36% from downtown, but he was still highly regarded when he came in as a grad transfer last year. Another grad transfer that they lost last year is Donald Carey. He played really well for them. He shot really efficiently from both 3 and 2 overall. Losing both of them is definitely going to hurt on the offensive end. And they had about a slew of 6 transfers that left that average about 11 points per game too. Looking at who they brought in, they have a bunch of transfers. Brandon Morrow, Primo Spears, Jay Heath, Cook, UConn Zone, Bryson Monzone, Bradley Aziro, and Qudus Wahab. A player I definitely want to look into here is Qudus Wahab. He was a part of that miracle run with Patrick Ewing a couple years ago, where they went on a Cinderella run and they won the Big East tournament. He left last year to go to Maryland, didn't get a lot of playing time, and didn't produce. He's coming back to where he really made a name for himself at Georgetown. Another player to look at is a Cook. We all know his game. He can stretch the floor a little bit. He can block shots. He's athletic. He's going to really fit well with Wahab. Wahab's more of like a bruiser down low, and a Cook could definitely stretch the floor. And a couple other players we're going to be looking at are the recruits that they brought in. There's one 4-star recruit, Denver Aglin. He's a scoring guard. He recorded in double figures in all but 2 games last year, as he was their team's third scoring option, which is extremely impressive. He also plays both sides of the floor, averaged about a steal and a half last year in high school. Another player that they brought in is Deontay Bass. He's a 3-star from Georgia. He's probably not going to get a ton of playing time, especially with the transfers this year, but he's just definitely someone that they're looking to develop.
As far as looking at their roster from last year, there's really only one notable returning player, that being Dante Harris. He was their starting point guard for the last 2 seasons. Last season he averaged 32 minutes, 12 points, and 4 assists per game. Not the most efficient player in the world, but his veteran presence will be super important to a almost entirely new team. As far as like a breakout player, there's no one really on the roster last year that could qualify, so I'm going to go with Qudus Wahab, who has been on the team actually. He led this team to the NCAA tournament last time he was at Georgetown, and he's back looking to break out even further and possibly do it again. With Wahab and a Cook in the front court, this team will have much-needed length to go up the other giants of the Big East. Next, we'll look at how Georgetown matches up against UConn. Like I was saying, Georgetown added length this year, but UConn has the answer for it with freshman center Donovan Clingan. He should lock down the paint along with Adama Sanogo and force the Hoyas big men into uncomfortable spots. UConn simply has more offensive talent, and their advantage experience-wise will be enough to give the Hoyas all kinds of trouble.
That's going to be it for this week's Big East Breakdown. Next week, we're going to be talking about the Butler Bulldogs.